ahead and dive right in to tonight's message. And so here's the question I want to start off by asking you. My question for you is, can you see it? Can you see it? And you might be saying to yourself, well, Andy, can I see what? Listen, can you see it? Whatever it is for you. Maybe perhaps it is writing a book. Can you see yourself being that published author? Can you see yourself at your book launch? Could you see yourself sitting at that table and signing the books with a long line of people who are waiting to tell you about how amazing you are and how amazing your message is? Can you see it? If maybe perhaps your desire is to become a professional speaker, can you see yourself on the stage? Can you see yourself sharing a message? Can you see people lining up to tell you about how your message has impacted their lives? Can you see it? If maybe perhaps you have a desire to become a business owner, can you see yourself having customers and clients? Can you see yourself employing different employees? Can you see yourself? Can you see yourself checking your statements in your bank accounts because of the revenue that continues to come in? Can you see it? For those of you who are in the process of thinking about making a transition, maybe you're thinking about going back to school, maybe you're thinking about traveling, maybe you want to become debt-free, maybe you want to become married, maybe you want to be able to travel the world. I don't know what it is for you, but my question is, can you see it? And the reason why I ask you that question is because one of the things that I know for certain is because when I look back at my personal life, I have yet to do anything extraordinary in my life that I did not first see before I made it happen. And I believe that most of us, that we would be able to get to the next level, that we'd be able to accomplish some extraordinary things in our lives if, instead of worrying about how we were going to do it, instead of worrying about what our current circumstances are, instead of worrying about what our current bank account looks like, instead of worrying about what our current contacts and connections look like, if we could just simply for a moment be able to see that thing that we want to make happen. And so I'm going to invite you today to tap into what I call your mind sight, to be able to see beyond your circumstances, to be able to see beyond just what you can see with just your eyes, what you could physically see. And I want you to tap into your vision, tap into your mind sight, that when you begin to think from a place of possibilities. And I believe that when you begin to see things like you see the business that you want, you see the relationships that you want, you see the places that you want to travel, you see the things that you want to accomplish. I believe that when you begin to see it, regardless if you're not quite sure as to how you're going to make it happen, when you begin to see it, then all of a sudden you will indirectly, without realizing it, begin to take the steps, the action steps, to be able to realize and accomplish your goals and your dreams. And so let me just tell you something. I look back and I think about when I first wanted to really, truly be able to develop my voice and become a speaker. I tell you, I remember many times just sort of pacing back and forth in my living room with a tape recorder. And I remember sharing motivational messages in my living room and speaking to the couches and going from one direction to the other and acting as if the couches and all the pillows on the couch, I was acting as if they were my audience. And I'm telling you, had you walked into my house at that time, you would have been a fly on the wall. You would have looked over and said, you know what, this guy is crazy. This guy is delivering a message right now to a couch, to a sofa, to a nightstand, to a lamp. And you'd be thinking like, you know what, he's insane. But wait a second, if you thought that was insane, I wish you would have seen me when I decided that the living room was not big enough. And then I decided to start going in my backyard because I realized that my backyard represented a bigger stage. And I would face the wall in the back of my backyard and I would look at the trees and I would speak to the trees as if the trees were my audience. And I would pace over to the right and act like that was stage right. I'd walk over to the left and act like that was stage left. And then I would come to the center, and the trees in the center would be my center audience. The trees to the right would be my audience on my right, and the trees to the left would be my audience on the left. And I would talk to them, and I would make sure that I was making movements that were orchestrated. I would make sure that I was projecting my voice. And I'm telling you that had you seen me, you would have been saying that he was absolutely crazy. But see, what you would have not have realized was that I was seeing beyond just the couches. You see, I was seeing beyond just the trees. I saw more than a lamp. What I saw was an audience. And because of the fact that I was able to see it, and because of the fact that I was acting upon what I saw, eventually the opportunities began to present themselves. And when those opportunities present themselves, it was almost as if I had already been doing it. And the reason being is because I had seen it far before I was doing it. I had seen it far before the opportunities presented themselves. And it was because of the fact that I saw it and I was willing to act that when I finally got my opportunity, when I got that phone call and I was asked to come out and actually speak at a particular event, and at the times that I began to sort of call people up and ask them if they were looking for a speaker, many times as I got in front of the audiences and I would speak to them, people would say, man, Andy, it seems like, man, you're natural. It seems like you've been doing this for so much longer than what you've been. And they didn't realize in my mind I had been doing it all the times when I was speaking to my furniture in the living room, all the times that I was speaking in the actual backyard, I had seen it. And I remember a couple of years in when I was working on my craft, at that point, I was doing a lot of free speaking engagements and some speaking engagements paid here or there. And then so as the years have gone by and I was consistently starting to get paid to go out and speak at different events, that I remember many times just sort of going back in my backyard and envisioning myself where the audiences were getting bigger. And so I started to see more than just 50 people in the room, and I started to see a couple of hundred people in the room. And then I got comfortable with seeing a couple of hundred people in the room. And then I got to a point where I believed that I started to see thousands of people in the room. And the crazy thing is, I won't forget this. I was a couple years in, and now I was starting to have consistent speaking opportunities come my way. And now here it was, my telephone rang, and my mentor gave me a call, and he said to me, he said, Andy, listen, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be speaking to a direct sales company. And when I go to speak to this direct sales company, I have been allocated a certain amount of time to speak. And I actually would like to split that time with you. And so we are going to be speaking to a couple thousand people. I said, wait a second, how many people we're going to be talking to? He said, we're going to be speaking to a couple of thousand people. That's about the amount of people that they have that attend this actual conference. And he says that, listen, I have about an hour and a half or so to be able to speak. And he says that I'm going to go ahead and split that time up between you and one other speaker and myself. And I want to just know, first of all, do you feel like you're ready? And do you think you can handle that? And immediately I said yes. And let me just tell you, the reason why I said yes is because at that stage, when we were having that conversation, I had envisioned myself so many times speaking to an audience of that magnitude. And I can never forget, I'll never forget getting there to that event and seeing this massive, massive, massive auditorium and literally looking around the room and seeing thousands of people. And this is a high energy event. I'm hearing people screaming and high energy and this big, massive stage. And I look for it at the stage. And not only is it a big, huge stage, but these three humongous screens. And the screens, not only as you're going to be speaking on the stage, people are going to be seeing you, but there's three huge screens behind you where people are going to be able to see you from different camera angles. I'm listening to the lights and I'm seeing the lights and I'm listening to the DJ and I'm surveillancing the room. I'm just checking out the room. And I look at this massive stage and I remember walking up and then my mentor handing me over the microphone and I'm walking out to the stage and these ginormous bright lights are shining in my face. And I look out and all I could see is these bright lights in this sea of literally thousands of people. I'm telling you that when I got up there and the nerves began to settle, I felt as if I had already been there. And the reason why is because I saw it. I saw it way before it ever happened. And what I need you to realize is that so many of us, we fall short of our goals and our dreams, not because we don't have the capacity, not because we don't have the gifts, the skills, and the talents, not because that the opportunity would never ever present itself, but many of us sell ourselves short because of the fact that we can't even see it for ourselves. And so we have not even thought for a moment that it's a possibility. And so what I'm saying to you is that I need you to stop judging off of your circumstances. I need you to stop judging off of what it is that you currently see right now. And so stop judging off of what you see in your audience right now. Stop judging off of what you see in your bank account. Stop judging what you see in your home. Stop judging off of the things that you see. And what I'm inviting you to do is to just close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to envision not what the circumstances are, but rather to envision what the possibilities are. That if you were not afraid, if fear didn't exist, if you didn't have a lack of resources, if you did have all the help that you needed, if you had access, if you could develop your skills, if you could take things to the next level, then what would you see for yourself? Could you see yourself writing the book? Could you see yourself starting the business? Could you see yourself making that transition in your career? Could you see yourself getting out of debt? Could you see yourself have a happy, fulfilling relationship? Could you see yourself having a thriving marriage? What I'm asking you to do is to stop living your life based off of the circumstances and off of limited vision. And I'm asking you to be able to see things at a different level. And when you begin to see things at a different level, over time, you won't even realize, because it's going to happen at a subconscious level, you will begin to take the steps to lead you towards what it is that you see. And what I need you to understand is it doesn't matter if no one else around you can see it. Listen carefully to this, all right? I need you to listen. Write this down. It does not matter if the people around you cannot see what it is that you see, because the vision is not for them. Let me explain something to you. Let me help you out. I got one of my good buddies. His name is Eric, and Eric does a lot of real estate developing. And so Eric called me up one day. He said, man, Andy, I said, what's going on? He said, listen, man, I just bought a property. Man, this is going to be an awesome project. He said, man, this is going to be an amazing real estate deal, an amazing real estate transaction. He said, man, I got to pick you up, man, because I got this property for a sweet deal, and I need you to come see this. He said that there's a house, and the house got hit by a tornado, and the people who are living there decided that they didn't want to take the time to rebuild and fix the house up. And so they decided that they're going to take the insurance money and go ahead and go get a new home. And so they wanted to get out of the house. And because the tornado beat the house up really, really bad, he said, I got the house for a great deal. So I'm coming to get you. And so he comes to pick me up. We get in the car. We start driving through the neighborhood. I'm looking around. I'm like, man, this is a really nice, stellar neighborhood. And as we come in, he makes a little left turn. He drives him down. He says, Andy, this is it. And so I'm looking on the outside. I'm like, you know what? This house doesn't look too bad. I mean, I know you said it got hit by a tornado. And so we get out of the house, and I'm looking. I'm like, man, nice neighborhood. Looks pretty nice from the outside. And then we open the door. Listen, when we open up the door, here's what I wasn't expecting. I didn't expect the fact that the roof was completely missing. I don't know if you can understand this, how eerie that feels. To walk into a home, open the front door, and to look up, and there is no ceiling. There's no ceiling. There's no roof. Literally, you're looking right up into the sky. And so first of all, that was just mind-blowing. That took me away because I didn't realize that the entire roof was missing when I was standing on the outside of the house. I mean, I could tell the roof was damaged, but I didn't know that the entire roof was missing. And then, of course, because the tornado came in, the tornado knocked down the majority of the walls, and literally everything in the house was destroyed. All you could see was the drywall, the debris, everything was laying down on the floor. You could see where you could smell where the water had actually settled and it got moldy and so forth. And now I need you to realize that I'm in there and it is just like shocking because I'm trying to process how crazy it looks inside of this house. But all the while, my friend, his excitement level has not gone down. And so while we're in there, he says, hey, man, man, listen, man, I don't know if you can see this, Andy, but he said, listen, this is where the front entrance is. He said, listen, man, they had a wall here. He said, I'm going to take this wall down and I'm going to open up the front entrance. And then he said, here's what I'm going to do. There's another wall in the back and I'm going to move that wall over and I'm going to put some stackable sliding glass doors. So as soon as you walk into the house, you can see right through the sliding glass doors. You can see the pool, and then you can see the beautiful lake in the backyard. And then he said, over here to the right, I'm going to knock down this wall, and I'm going to build an office. And he says, listen, when you come over here to the kitchen, there's a little narrow doorway. I'm going to eliminate the doorway, and the kitchen's going to be right here. And all the while, every time he kept explaining it to me, he said, Andy, can you see it? He said, Andy, can you see it? Andy, can you see it? And let me just tell you, let me be honest with you. I couldn't see it. I just could not see it. I couldn't get past the fact that the place had no roof. Are you listening to me? The place had no roof. I couldn't get past the fact that I was smelling this mildew. I couldn't get past the fact that it was all this debris and all this chaos and all this thing. And so he's explaining to me something that he could see. He could see it. He said, I'm going to elevate the ceilings. I'm going to put these awesome designs. I'm going to put these recessed lightings everywhere. I'm going to extend the master bedroom. And so he's explaining, and I'm walking along with him. And I'm like, yeah, okay, man. All right, man. But truth be told, I couldn't see it. And so he closes on the home. And now he gets the house cleared out. He puts a new ceiling and new roof on the house. He raises the ceiling up quite a bit. He spreads open and opens up that front walkway like he said he was going to do. He eliminated the wall. He put the stackable sliding glass doors. He got the pool cleaned out. It's blue and beautiful. And as the pool is going, you can see as soon as you walk in the pool and the beautiful living room. He expanded the master bedroom. He built the beautiful thing that he was talking about. And finally, when he was done, he walked me over. And now I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this is absolutely amazing. This looks like literally a custom home. And I said, no one is going to be able to appreciate what you've done with this house unless they saw it when I saw it. But the crazy thing is, as beautiful as that home was when he finished it, I think back at that moment when he was sharing the vision with me, and what I realized is no matter how excited he was, no matter how hard he tried, I couldn't see it. But the fact that I couldn't see it did not keep him from being able to realize his goal and his dreams and be able to complete this house and make it an absolute stunning, beautiful home. And what I need you to realize is this, that all too often, we can see something for ourselves, and then we have someone close to us that we try to share it with. It could be your husband, it could be your wife, it could be a brother, a sister, a colleague, a good friend. And you try to share the vision with them. You try to get them to see it, and you just can't get them to see it. And oftentimes when we can't get those closest to us to see it, guess what we do? We throw in the towel, and we say to ourselves, well, you know what? Since they can't see it, maybe I won't be able to do it. And what I'm trying to make you understand is it doesn't matter if they can't see it. You see, it didn't matter the fact that I couldn't see what my friend was trying to explain to me. The fact that he was able to see it for himself, he was able to make it happen. And so it doesn't matter if the people around you cannot see it for themselves. The only thing that does matter is that you can see it for yourself. And as long as you can see it, you can actually make it happen. As long as you can see it, you'll begin to take the steps. You see, my friend, that was an enormous project, but because he could see it, he knew to go ahead and call the architecture and make sure the walls were adjusted. Because he could see it, he knew to elevate the ceilings. Because he could see it, he knew to knock down the wall. Because he could see it, he knew to extend the master bedroom. He knew that there needed to be a view of the backyard and be able to see the pool and the lake. He knew to go ahead and center the house so that you could see everything based off of looking back at that beautiful lake. He could see it, he could see it, he could see it. And the more that he could see it, the more that it guided him as he was taking the steps. Now, I'm telling you, at the very beginning of that project, even though he could see it, he wasn't quite sure as to how he was going to make it happen. He didn't know who his contractors were going to be at that moment. He didn't know some of the cool creative things he wanted to do. He wasn't sure how it's going to happen. He just could see it at that moment, and seeing it was enough for him to get started. And so I'm challenging you right now. If you have been playing it safe, if you've been playing it small, I'm challenging you to sort of expand your vision and for you to stop living from a place of in which you're just focusing on your circumstances and focusing on the things that you don't have, but rather I want you to start tapping into your mind sight and start thinking from a place about the possibilities. And I don't want you to just focus on how you're going to do it, because that throws us off a lot of times. You know, the first time I got on a big stage, I didn't know how I was going to do it. The first time that, you know, I got acknowledged in a magazine, I didn't know how I was going to do it. The first time that I got an opportunity to get on national television, I didn't know how I was going to do it. When I said that I was going to write a book, I didn't exactly know what the process was from beginning to end to writing a book and actually getting published. A lot of things that I set out to do when I was going to leave corporate America as a CPA, as an accountant, and decided I was going to pursue my passion, ultimately become a speaker, I wasn't quite sure exactly how it was going to do it. I was going to do it. The only thing is I could see it. I could see it for myself. And because of the fact that I could see it, it was enough that I was able to just take one step. And then I would see just a little bit more, and then I could take the next step. And I could see just a little bit more, and then I could take a next step. And then before you know it, you're realizing your goals and your dreams. And so I'm hoping that after listening to this message, that you're going to just raise the bar, that you're going to stop living from a place of limitations and based off of what your circumstances are, but rather begin to live from a place of what the possibilities are. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask you the same question that I asked you at the beginning of the message. And my question for you is, can you see it? Can you see it for yourself? Can you see yourself at the next level? Can you see yourself accomplishing your goals and your dreams? Can you see yourself making those things happen? And what I'm saying to you is, if you could just see it, then that's one of the most important steps for you to actually realize it. Let me just tell you, it has been an absolute privilege for me to spend this time with you and share this message with you. And I'm hoping that as a result of hearing this message, that you're just going to do a little shift and stop limiting yourself and begin to start thinking about what it is that you could see. And start thinking about what the possibilities are as opposed to what the restrictions are. And so, you know, like always, this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. You know, show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen. Because if you don't, if you're not willing to show up for your life, if you're not willing to cast a vision for yourself, if you're not willing to see it for yourself, then guess what? Nobody else will. Nobody else is going to live out your dream for you. Nobody else is going to write your book for you. Nobody else is going to start your business for you. Nobody else is going to make that thing that you want, whatever it is, a reality for you except for you. And so I'm challenging you to see it for yourself. Excellent, excellent. So like always, we're going to open up the lines very shortly. But before we do so, I want to share a couple things with you. First and foremost, if you haven't already done so, I want to extend an invitation for you to get a copy of my book. It is called Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. But if you could just remember the first part, Show Up for Your Life. The book is available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. And in addition to that, you can also go to ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com, ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. But any way that you choose to get the book, the most important thing for me is to make sure that you actually get a copy. And the book, what I do is I share some extraordinary principles that I learned, majority of which from my mother and many life experiences. And without me giving it away, but my mom came to the United States with about $150 to her name in pursuit of the American dream. And she had gotten to this place in her life that was a defining moment. And she had an option as to whether she was going to throw in the towel or she was going to take an act of faith and decide to show up. And in that particular moment, my mom decided to show up, and that made all the difference. And so what I do is I share many of the extraordinary principles in my book that I learned from her lesson and many other life lessons that I know that you could apply to your life to help you to take your life to the next level. These are many of the same principles that, my mother, who came here to $150 to her name to the United States, was able to ultimately acquire a property that years later she would get offered over $1 million for it. And I share that with you to just let you know that these are proven principles, that when you act on these principles, you can go from living ordinary life to living an extraordinary life. And I'm talking about in every aspect of your life. So we're talking about relationships, we're talking about around your faith, we're talking about, financially, we're talking about when it comes to your goals and your dreams personally. And so you want to get a copy of that book. That book is transformational. It's going to touch your life. And it's a great read. And so if you're going to I would say, if you're going to pick up any book this year that you really want to make sure that you read, get a copy of Show Up for Your Life. The other thing is, I'm super excited. For some of you who are connected with me via social media, you may have been seeing a lot of really amazing speakers, coaches, authors who have been posting the fact that they recently have received their Master Storyteller designation. And so the Master Storyteller designation is the #1 designation for professional speakers, coaches, and influencers. So if you are a professional speaker, a coach, or influencer, and you want to have a different level and you want to up your game as the way that you show up in the marketplace and allow people who are going to hire you and work with you know that you are really serious and that you've invested time in really strengthening your message and working on your story so that you can create greater impact, that's the designation that you absolutely want to have. And so you can earn your Master Storyteller designation by being a part of the Master Storyteller Academy.com. And so if you want to learn more about how to earn your Master Storyteller designation, and you definitely want to head over to Master Storyteller Academy.com. Once again, that is Master Storyteller Academy.com. So all those words spread out. When you get there, you'll be able to check out, learn a little more about the Academy. You'll be able to see a couple of great videos highlighting some people that I've had the honor and the privilege to be able to work with. And then you'll see a place where you can go ahead and apply so that you can be a part of the Master Storyteller Academy. And just to let you know how the application process works, you simply apply, someone from my office will contact you, or you will also be able to book yourself for an appointment, and that will have an opportunity to either speak to myself or someone on my team to give you the details about the Master Storyteller Academy so that you can have enough information to decide whether or not this is something for you. And so I'm super excited about that and looking forward to working with those of you who are going to be joining me for the next session for the Master Storyteller Academy. And so, like always, with that being said, we're going to do something right now. I know for those of you who are tuning in right now via the live stream, one of the things that you can do, if you would love to stay connected with me, if we're not already connected on social media, you could do so. But we also have a private Facebook group. You can go to Facebook and just simply type in Show Up for Your Life, Show Up for Your Life. And when you type in Show Up for Your Life, just simply send us a request to join the group, and we would gladly accept your request. It is a private group, and you do have to send us a request to join the group, and we would gladly go ahead and allow you to become a part of the group, and we invite you to be part of the community. As a matter of fact, I want to recognize Cassandra Carter, who just made a request to join the group, as well as Alicia. Welcome to the group. And so once again, you can go to Show Up for Your Life in Facebook, look for the private group, or if you want a shortcut to get there, you can open up a separate web browser, type in showupgroup.com, showupgroup.com. Now, last but not least, Lewis is going to open up the lines, and this is the opportunity now that for those of you who are listening via the conference call line,
all participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Those of you who are listening via the conference call line, because of the fact that you're on the conference call line, we can actually interact a little bit. So this is your opportunity right now. If you have a quick question,